Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order at this time. If you will, please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will ask Councilman Scott if he will please lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the time to come tonight, Lord, to serve the community that we're so proud of. We pray for each that live here, all those that are sick or ill. Father, you bless them and keep them safe. We pray, Lord, as we enter to this discussion, to this meeting tonight, you help us make the decisions that benefit the community as a whole. We pray that you'll be with us during this time. We ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, gentlemen, I have the agenda in front of you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move the item number 5 and 6 off of the consent agenda, and I guess put it under, go under business item, I guess? Yep. So the business item, make it business item number 4 and 5 respectively.
Okay. Okay, any other changes? Okay, this time I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, so our first presentation this evening is a proclamation designating April 18th as Electrical Lineman Appreciation Day. Ted, if you will please come forward, and Blake, is that correct? How are you gentlemen doing? Good. First and foremost, I want to thank you for your service to the town. You've probably heard me mention it, and the council members mention it, right? It's you guys are the sort of the unsung heroes that we have, right? Keeping our power on, and certainly do appreciate that. I know it's not an easy job, getting called out at all hours of the night. In all sorts of weather, storms, hurricanes, snowstorms, everything. And it's, we certainly do appreciate everything that you do for the town of Smithfield and keeping our utilities on. We do certainly appreciate it. So if you will, please bear with me as I read this proclamation. So this is a proclamation for Electric Lineman Appreciation Day of April the 18th, 2022. Whereas the town of Smithfield honors the profession of lineman, as this profession is a selfless service steeped in personal, family, and professional tradition. And whereas electrical linemen are often first responders during storms and other catastrophic events, working to repair broken lines to make the scene safe for the citizens of the town of Smithfield, as well as other public safety workers. And whereas electrical linemen work on the town of Smithfield power lines 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to keep the electricity flowing. And whereas due to the danger of their work with thousands of volts of electricity high atop power lines, these linemen put their lives at risk every day for the citizens of the town of Smithfield, with little recognition from the community regarding the danger of their work. And whereas the United States Senate in April of 2013 first recognized the efforts of electrical linemen in keeping the power on and protecting public safety, and has designated by resolution the annual celebration of a National Lineman Appreciation Day. Now, therefore, I, Andy Moore, Mayor of the town of Smithfield, along with the members of the town council, do hereby proclaim April the 18th, 2022 as Electrical Lineman Appreciation Day. And we call upon the citizens of the town of Smithfield to recognize and appreciate the hard work, innovation, and dedication that these public servants make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Then our next presentation is the acceptance of the 2021 American Public Power Association Safety Award of Excellence. Ted, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And I guess Blake, you will be accepting this award on behalf of the town. So thank you very much. Ted?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to read a brief description about the Safety Award. For the past 61 years, the American Public Power Association has annually awarded safety awards to recognize public power utilities, which exemplify the highest standards of safe operating practices. Safety programs ensure that electric utility employees are informed and trained, and they use safe work procedures. The utilities receiving these awards have proven that the protecting of their safety of their employees is the top priority. 334 utilities from across the country entered the annual safety awards, or to be designated this year. Entrants were placed in categories according to the number of worker hours and ranked based on the most incident-free records during 2021. The incident rate used to judge these entries is based on the number of work-related reportable injuries or illnesses and the number of work hours during 2021 lost as defined by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The town of Smithfield was awarded first place in Group A. And Group A is communities with less than 15,000 worker hours. And a complete list of all honorees can be found on the American Public Power Association website. So we just wanted to accept the award for first place in Group A.
This is the most important one.
That's correct. They all go home safe and sound.
We want you to go home and safe and work. So, thank you for the training and everything that you guys provide, and be safe on the job. So, thank you very much. Okay, our next presentation is a presentation of our new website. Brian, I think that's you, sir? Yes, sir. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. I'm not going to take too much of your time. This is about a 4.5-month project to go through the new template of the website, migrating documents over, making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So what you see before you on the screen now is the new website. If you'll forgive the old I's. What you see at the start, at least right now, you see an alert pop-up box. We can use that if we have weather issues, if we have, like we've had some issues in sanitation with some equipment and we've had to delay some of the routes that they've been running over the last couple of days. We had that up there. I took that down just a minute ago because that has expired, at least as I know of right now. And so what we have is back to the welcome to the website. And so what you will see when you go to the website, if you have not seen this alert when it first pops up, it will be there for you to say, okay, got it. Once you do, it comes down here on the side. And as long as there's not a new alert, then you won't have an alert until the next time you go for a new alert. Again, whether it's weather, whether it's a traffic issue, any issue that we can get out very quickly through our website along with our social media as well. If I scroll back up to the top, you'll see a lot of familiar tabs that look just like they did before, but just a new look and a new updated feel of the template. One of the things that you will see that's new is a button, How Can I? And if I click the right part of that, you'll see a few categories there: apply for, pay, find, whether it's our library information, schools, bid opportunities that we have, and you can also report the street lights, the power outages, and if you have code enforcement complaints or anything like that, you can do those right from the website. We are still working on adding a few things there. We know that there are a few other things that we want to make it very quickly for the public to be able to get to without having to click too many times. Reports will tell you that on a website, especially when they're coming to try to find information, we want to try to get them there in 3 clicks or less. And so we're still working on that right now to make sure that the public and the citizens can get that information very quickly. So we're still working on that as well. Just wanted you to have a chance to see this. As you scroll down, you'll see a larger news and announcements area where we can put some photographs, same ones that we use on social media. that they can highlight those. You can click on each one as you have before, and it brings up the information for that particular event. In this case, the Bunny Bash, which there are 2 of those on Saturday, 9 and 11 o'clock, and you have until tomorrow to register, so you can do that. And then we also have our calendar of upcoming events, which we are going to be using that a little bit more, including some of our Parks and Recreation events, some of the town's events. If you go through the View All events, it'll take you back to the calendar itself, but this is where we'll have information about the Ham and Yam, the Endless Yard Sale, the 4th of July celebration, our Veterans Day celebration, so we'll have all that information on there as well. We do have all of our links to our social media accounts, and then a little bit further down, there is a map embedded, also some weather information. So we worked really hard on this. I want to thank the folks at Easy Task for helping us out with that. They are our provider and our helper when it comes to our website, and they were instrumental in helping us. We are still working through just a couple of issues. We have had a couple of links that we had to take care of. Those are mainly finished. And so right now, my job has been for the last week to week and a half is to go through and make sure that everywhere you click and it looks like there's a link, that link will actually take you somewhere and you won't get a whoops message. So I believe we have finished about 95% of that. So if you go anywhere and you see anything that you're having an issue with, please email me and let me know so I can take care of that. I am going through page by page, and probably by late tomorrow afternoon, I will have all of those taken care of. So just wanted you to have a look. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them now, or you can also contact me, normal business hours, or call my cell.
Okay. Any questions? Anything for Brian? Staff? Looks good, though. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. We'll move on to our next topic, which is public hearing. Our first public hearing is CZ-22-01, Foster Commons. This is not a quasi-judicial hearing, so there is no need for anyone to be sworn in at this time. This time I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Stephen, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is conditional zoning case number 2201, Foster Commons. So this, the developer, Woda Cooper Development, Inc., is requesting the conditional rezoning, a B3 conditional rezoning with a master plan for Foster Commons, a 50-unit senior, 55 restricted multi-family apartment on 5.46 acres. This is the location of the site. So this is adjacent to the unopened Holt Street right-of-way. It backs up to the railroad tracks. And it's next to a car dealership. And then back in this corner here is, there's low-income housing in that area, just for reference. So a little bit of information about the site. The density for this development will be 9.15 units per acre, so it's close to the maximum allowed in the UDO. Survey of the site. This is the illustrated master plan for the site. So they're proposing to utilize the unopened right-of-way, basically opening the right-of-way, which would require the council to do so, to develop a cul-de-sac, providing access to the site. It would also provide access to the adjacent properties. If you recall, the warehouse just beyond the cul-de-sac in this location requested about a year and a half ago ability to access our closed right-of-way for a private driveway, and that was granted. So that driveway would still need to be maintained and developed off the end of this cul-de-sac. This would be a standard road right-of-way. It would match what's going on the other side of Brightleaf Boulevard. The developer would have 2 driveways off that road. As you see here, they'll be meeting all the landscape requirements for street yards and buffer yards. They'll be providing stormwater management. There has been some questions by the public about stormwater management and, concerns about some flooding on adjacent properties. We believe that this will better the situation because they'll be controlling the stormwater coming off the site and probably managing that ditch that this water is conveyed to also. This is an illustration or elevation of the finished project. It's got a variety of brick, board and batten materials, and I think it's lap siding. There are 3 floors to the development with a central corridor and stairwells on the ends and elevator towards the center. There's a blow-up of 2 of the floors. There's some public gathering space towards the center. There's some storage lockers towards the center, like a business center for accessing computers, that sort of thing. Examples of the different rooms available for the tenants. So multifamily residential in our UDO requires a special use permit with supplemental standards. And the other alternative is to do conditional zoning, where the special use is now a permitted use, and it's the only use allowed in the master plan. So this is, again, a 3-story, 50-unit, 55-plus age-restricted apartment. There'll be 1-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units. It's brick, fiber, cement, lap, and board and batten siding with decorative trim. It meets the appearance requirements of the supplemental standards in the UDO. I'll just move on here. Again, this is just illustrating the access. So the arrow represents the private driveway on the closed Holt Street right-of-way that will be opened as part of this development. These are just some of the requirements. They're providing the storage as required in the supplemental standards. They are requesting 1 deviation from the underlying zoning code, that is to increase the height just beyond what's allowed to allow for a better pitch on the roof. It's probably not a deviation that anyone will ever notice. And an important matter, Foster Commons will have a local property manager and service technician, not necessarily on site, but in the area to maintain the units. I've asked the developer to specifically speak to that when he comes up and presents after this. The site will be well lit and will be required to meet UDO requirements. They are proposing a gazebo, a covered patio, some seating areas outside, and some walkways. They are exempt from the recreation requirements of the supplemental standards. However, one thing that could be improved upon in this development is, a little more developed walking trail on the open space on the lot, just for seniors or whomever to take walks around the property and just to get outside a little more. This property will be served by public utilities. As you know, the utility lines are currently at capacity, and there is a condition of approval that says this project cannot be constructed until sewer is available. We've had some clarification on that point with the county, and I think that condition should be struck. The county, the applicant we can issue a zoning permit for construction. The developer can apply for allocation for utilities and with it an addendum that goes to the state, and then the state can decide whether or not to kind of conditionally issue allocation to this, knowing the plant is going to be online and the lines will be freed up soon after. So this is something we worked through communicating with Chandra, and it's something the developer is actually going to pursue and find out whether that is doable. The worst-case scenario is this project would get held up at the time of CO, so they'll have the construction built, ready to hook up, and there will be nothing to hook up to for maybe 6 months to a year, depending on the construction timelines. But that's a risk that the developer will take. It's not the town risk. And the developer is going to be working through those issues, whether or not to go forward this year or in a subsequent year. So again, the deviation, the building height, and they do have the storage, but the storage is not quite as large as in the UDO. Given it's seniors without kids, it's probably not an issue. Staff does not believe it's an issue. Staff finds it consistent with the comprehensive growth plan, consistent with UDO, and it will be compatible with the surrounding land uses. Staff recommends approval with 7 conditions, and the recommended motion is as follows. Again, I would strike the 7th condition. I believe it was the 7th about the utilities. Sorry. Yeah, strike the 7th if you would, since we've worked through that issue.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions from council at this time? Okay. Are there any comments from anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this matter? If you will, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name's Brian Wade, and I'm with Kane Investments, which owns the property, $5 Smithfield, which owns the property next to the property they're trying to rezone. And we just had some concerns, me and my partner, on the property. We brought up in the first meeting about the issue with flooding and everything, with the water flow. We also just had concerns with the traffic, adding more traffic. We had more concerns with the value of our property, concerns if it will go down, putting residential, apartments beside the business that we bought as a commercial business owning and developed it. So we just want to address that tonight. Just not a lot to say. We said a lot in the first meeting, but the presentation we saw, it was a great presentation, and it looks nice. It's just our beliefs there. It's just the wrong location. And Brightly Boulevard, we just don't believe that's the right place to put this. I want to keep it short and sweet.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter, please come forward at this time.
Mayor, the applicant is here and he would like to speak.
Okay. If you will please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please, sir.
My name is Vinnie Blackburn, Senior Vice President with Road Cooper Companies. I'm based in
Sorry, we have new technology. Thank you, Brian.
no problem. My name is Denny Blackburn. I'm Senior Vice President with Woda Cooper Companies, and I'm based in Savannah, Georgia. And I have a little presentation, if it's okay with you, Mr. Mayor, just a few slides to share. Do you mind?
Oh, right.
My assistant here is...
Yeah, I forgot I was in charge of that.
What I would like to do tonight is just give you a little introduction to Woda Cooper Companies, our activity in North Carolina, what we have done. Oh, fantastic. Okay, good. little information about what Woda Cooper Companies is all about, what we have done, our experience in affordable housing, and also our presence in North Carolina. I want to show you that we are, and show you some pictures of some of the developments we have done in neighboring towns. And of course, answer any of the questions that you may have. Woda Cooper Companies. Woda Cooper is a privately owned. It's actually got two gentlemen, Jeff Woda and David Cooper. So it is privately owned, for-profit entity. And in fact, it's actually an ESOP. So it's owned by the employees through an employee stock option plan. We are a fully integrated company, meaning that we actually not only do we do the development, we do the construction, and most importantly, we do the management. So we come into a community and we stay with the intention of staying for a very long time. We have over 400 different properties that we have developed, and out of those 400 different properties, we have only ever sold one, and that was over 10 years ago. So we really come in and we stay in the community. It's important for us, the quality of the property itself to remain very, very strong. That's our calling card. We're currently ranked 10th in the nation based on the latest affordable housing finance statistics. As a long-term owner, which is important, we also, in our management company, we will have a community manager. We don't even call it property manager anymore. We call them community managers, dedicated specifically for this property, as well as a service technician specifically for this property. We have over 16,000 units under management at the moment. We have been very fortunate in our development activities in North Carolina. Over the past 6 years, we've been awarded 2 tax credit developments each year by the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. And this application, we put in this application this year, and this year, this particular site is the top scoring site in the eastern region of North Carolina, as per North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. The scoring against the criteria this year based upon the walk score, and this location is so close to so many amenities, which is why we're really pushing to do this development. As I mentioned, it's going to be a $10 million development, 50 units. So you see that we're putting in about $200,000 per unit into the actual development costs. We've been quite successful in adjacent towns. As you can see, I've just listed a few. Calabash, Elizabeth City, Greenville, Newburgh, etc. in Zebulon, just up the road. I've already talked about the property management. I think what you're referring to is we've got a grid, it's built like an army of different on the property management side. We've got generals and colonels and captains and lieutenants, and we've got a very strong presence in this part of North Carolina, and that strong management team will be able to provide the support to the local hire that we can do here for the community manager and the local service technician. I don't want you to give a list of this, but I would just like to highlight maybe just one or two aspects here. For instance, we've got 2 developments in Hickory. We've actually got a development in Hickory, North Carolina. We're going back in with a second development that we have just completed. We're also going back into Rocky Mount with a second development. So we like to come into communities and, like I said, look for a second one and a third one as appropriate. We do a mixture. We do seniors, we do multifamily, we do townhomes, we do a variety of different things. In this particular case, we're doing a senior development, restricted age, 55 and over. I hate, by the way, calling senior 55 and over. That's just a few examples. This is Ravenwood Crossing in Rocky Mount. This was a development where we went in and we took over a whole street that was in total disrepair, owned by the actual city, the town of Rocky Mount had bought that site, and we came in and redid the whole street.
If I can interject 1 second, where was that street at in Rocky Mount? What was the street?
It's called Ravenwood. It was actually Ravenwood. It's right on
Is that right across from the Mules? Is that where this is?
It's right. It's off of Raleigh Road, south, where they've got the new South Community Center. It's And that road, if you go right down that road.
Okay, thank you.
Another development, also a multifamily, typical type of development is Rivergate Green in Charlotte. This is on the south side of Charlotte. That one we leased up in just a matter of weeks, quite frankly. I want to highlight this. This is the type of finishes we do. On the left, you can see a typical community room that we will have. We always have a community room where our residents can enjoy gatherings, events that they can have, 4th of July, opportunities, birthday parties, things like that. On the right, I wanted to highlight two of the sort of finishings that we have. All the appliances will be Energy Star appliances. We put in, dishwasher, etc. I wanted to show the LVT flooring. This is what we're putting in everywhere now. And it really gives a great finish to these luxury vinyl tiles. It's getting a great finish to the actual units themselves. This is a senior development, Shepherd Green, just up in Zebulon. That one too is opened and got leased up very, very quickly. We have a nice new development in Harbor Meadows. I don't have some nice pictures yet from Harbor Meadows. We've just opened it up. But this is down in Calabash. And that's another example of the actual interior. This one has a fitness room, multifamilies we put in fitness facilities and multifamily developments. Thule Place, I have a very special feel for Thule Place in Elizabeth City. It was the first development that I did in North Carolina, that we as an organization did in North Carolina. And we just heard just this afternoon that about 75% of the people that went in there about 7 or 8 years ago are still living in that facility. It's a very, very little turnover in that particular facility. We've already shown the actual planet itself, so I won't go into that, but we'll gladly answer any questions you have at this time.
Any questions?
You said something about walkability to amenities. How are you going to be walking if there's no sidewalks up and down Brightleaf?
We will be putting the sidewalk in front of our facility.
What's it going to connect to?
It's going to connect whenever the city puts in the next sidewalks.
In other words, they're just going to walk out to Brightleaf Boulevard, a 5-lane highway, to go to amenity.
Mayor, I have a few questions. Mr. Blackburn, thank you for coming tonight and with your presentation. One of the things that I would like for you to explain to us, I have a few questions, actually. You mentioned 55 and older. How is it fair that you can only put people age 55? How do you manage that?
That is a good question. We are part of the low-income housing tax credit program. And our management team are experienced in getting the information from the residents that will move, potential tenants. They go through an application process. We will review their credit background. We will review their criminal background, and we will review their income data, and who will be in the unit, who belongs in a couple or family or community that's in there.
Thank you. Your presentation addresses the management, and it doesn't make it clear. Will this be on-site management, or you guys manage it from Georgia or wherever?
This will be on-site management. I think we make a difference between is there somebody who lives on site or is there somebody that lives in Smithfield who would be at that property on a daily basis? Who is that situation? We will have a community manager that his or her job will be in that office on a daily basis in Smithfield.
Okay. The other question I have, Mr. Blackburn, you mentioned that your company's for profit, just like any other entrepreneur in America, and I'm sure you're proud of that. If you would, have you guys ever built and marketed a project such as this? Have you ever sold a project such as this?
No, like I said, there's only one development that was sold in the history of the company. I should have mentioned that the company has been in existence for 33 years. And only one was sold.
And the last question I have, and I'm sorry, I just ask a lot of questions. we have to make the decision based on the, for the community. One of the things that I don't understand is why you would present a 3-story floor plan for people over 55. To me, it would be better if it was single-story, smaller spaces. Just my opinion, but I was wondering if you would explain that.
Sure. This is a very, very traditional way of doing a senior 55 and older, is you would definitely would not do a walkout for seniors. You would have an elevator in the building, because the elevator is centrally located in the building. So that means that everybody can access all of the units in a very easy way. The size of the units, we've got 660 square feet for the 1-bedroom and 900 for the 2-bedroom. We've got 28 1-bedrooms and 22 2-bedrooms. So it's being projected.
Well, we have to think about safety. If the elevator fell, the building filled up with smoke, it seems like to me that 3 stories could be more complicated to get people out of, but I guess y'all have experience managing that.
We of course, would comply with all fire safety and everything that the community in town would have. The building will be fully sprinkled.
And Mr. Blackburn, my famous statement, one last question. I'm sorry, I forgot to ask this in my notes here. Again, thank you for coming in your presentation. In fact, can you elaborate to the council with a project of this caliber and knowing that if you're renting to people that have a need, there's going to be a need for rehab. What kind of plan does your company put in place to rehab interior and exterior?
Well, first of all, for this type of program, we will put a rather large reserve, a capital improvement reserve aside to make sure that there are enough funds for this type of development. We have our own maintenance group that handles the whole maintenance of the whole organization on a state-by-state, property-by-property. So we will have our regular maintenance program. What happens in this particular program, Councilman Scott, is that at the end of the compliance period, for 15 years, we would be allowed to reapply for credits to do a rehab of the particular property. Our experience, however, is that at the end of 15 years, our properties are still in great condition. They don't really need it at all at that time. But we would be very interested to do so, to reapply at the time when the development would really need a full rehabilitation. And that's what we're starting to do with some of the properties that we first developed 30 years ago. We're going through that process on several of those properties.
Mayor, thank you. Thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Mayor, I have just one question. So the question on the age 55, so does that include, that means no one living in the facility will be under 55? Is that right?
It has to be one person.
So you could have children as long as the adult is 55?
If you have children and you're old, if you are older than 55 and you have children.
Because a lot of times, let's face it, a lot of times grandparents are raising their children today. We see it all the time.
Grandchildren cannot live there just because
But if they're,
the only grandchildren that could be there is if they have the legal guardianship.
right, that's, yeah, right, right. So it could have children in the facility? Okay. So it's not necessarily limited to 55. 55 is the, understand, that's your criteria for getting in the door, but there's nothing that says you can't have children in the building if they're the legal residents of 55. Well, I'm just saying, because I'm thinking about if it's a retirement community people, if you're looking at 55-year-old retirement community, they don't want children running around. I mean, they've already put up with theirs and they're ready to move on. That's supposed to be the selling thing of a senior living center, right? Not an affordable housing complex. If it's an affordable housing complex, then you sell it as affordable housing complex with an entry level that somebody has to be 55. If you're looking at a senior retirement community, then I don't know many senior retirement communities that have children. Matter of fact, I know some that have a requirement, no children allowed. They can visit, but they can't stay.
Right. That can be the case if you're doing private development. We're using credit.
I understand.
Which means that we will be renting. We're not trying to sell it.
Right.
We're not trying to hide anything to anybody to come in and convince them that this is only going to be a senior.
Right.
There can be senior developments if you go for 63 and over, and that's only for 63 and older. Everybody has to be at that age. This is just a choice that we have made, and this is what we've done in most of our developments in North Carolina for senior years, the 55 years. And those, Councilman Barber, those rules, that's not our rules, that's the rules of the program.
I understand. No, I understand. I understand. Right, I just want to clarify, because it doesn't insinuate that anywhere in the presentation. It just says 55 and older, but the truth is, the limitation is someone in the household has to be 55 or older, but it could certainly be under 55 in the household.
Somebody who, and furthermore, we do not have playgrounds, like we saw
Right.
in the picture. We don't advertise it to, we don't try and
Sure.
entice people to come with family kids. It's just by, it's just fair housing. We cannot refuse somebody if they have children who have to be 55 years.
But then, my question goes back to Stephen then. The question is, there's a qualification, because they're a senior citizen community, we waive the recreational fee, but if there's potential children living in there that's gonna need recreational services, then we shouldn't be waiving the recreational fee, because we're gonna still have to serve those children who are living in that building, potentially. Am I right or wrong? I mean, just,
The UDO does specifically talk about, senior facilities not needing recreational facilities. We still have him in our community, and he's not trying to attract young children.
I understand that.
There could be some families with children, but the project is not tailored towards them. And just like there's a reduction in the accessory storage requirement that they are requesting through this approval, given the fact that most families won't need a lot of storage, because kids usually have a lot of stuff with kids, there could be occasionally someone that needs all their storage.
But I think, Councilman Barber, you're bringing up a good point. In reality, what happens is seniors live there. And seniors live there. There could be maybe 1, 2, 3, and I can't come up here and say no children whatsoever. So there's very little in our.
So then my question is, since you have this facility somewhere else, right? Well, do you know what the statistics is for the age range of the children living in those, the number of people and the ages in that facility? I'm just saying, because that's an example. Sure.
David, if you will, please state your name and address for the record, please.
David Cooper, Bluffton, South Carolina. So we actually own and manage about 6,000 units such as these. We have no more than maybe, and that would be spread across about, trying to get the number in my mind, about 120 buildings. We have no more than probably 5 children in those buildings at this time. The buildings are really not designed to attract families. And it's actually not just because of affordable housing. It's a federal law under the Fair Housing Act. You cannot discriminate against anyone on a familial basis, but there are 2 exceptions. There's one for a 55 and older group, which would say that the head of the household has to be 55 years old. There's one for a 63 and older, and that applies to any type of housing. But our experience is, particularly a building like this, the demographic is an older demographic. We average over 70 years old in a 3-story elevator building like this.
Any other questions at this time?
Just a few comments. I appreciate your interest coming to Smithfield. A lot of things are happening right now. There's a big boom in housing that's much needed, and the project looks very nice, I will say that. Some questions I have are about the affordable housing part of it. How is that structured? I know you said there were some qualifications based on income, credit history, criminal history, obviously. What are the range for an average 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, what the price range somebody might pay would be?
Sure. The income levels are defined by HUD on an annual basis. So they go up or go down. And the income levels are based on the area median income. And we will have 13 of the units of 30% the area median income. You do that to have a diversity in income levels. And to give an example on the lower end, for instance, a couple on the 30% cannot earn more than $22,980 this particular time. And for instance, on the other end of the spectrum, a couple 60% cannot earn $45,960. And that changes on an annual basis. And it's different if it's a single, one, two, or three people in the household. It's based on the number of people in the household.
Okay.
And then the rents then go, do you want the information?
Yeah, well, those, yeah.
The rents then go, are, for a one-bedroom, two-bedroom, different price, and 30, 50, and 60% area income. So they will go from a one-bedroom on the lowest end for the person who earns up to 30% of the area median income, will earn, the rent will be 440.
So that's the lowest anybody's rent would be.
That will be the lowest income rent, for 440. Now, that is the net rent that we would take. Then the individual, or the resident would actually pay for the utilities. On the other end, the two-bedroom at 60% would go for 745.
Okay. Now, since y'all were applying for low housing income credits to facilitate this much-needed housing, thing, the residents, even though y'all charge a base rent of, I'm just going to use the 450 number, would the residents then also be eligible to go get housing assistance from the county to subsidize their rent?
Depending on their level of income.
I mean, that really doesn't have to do with y'all, that's on the individual. But your base rent would be 450 minimum.
Let me go one step further. We do credit checking on the individuals and also do criminal check on the individual. Anybody with a violent crime history or sex offender would not be allowed to live in any of our properties. So once they come in, those individuals would have to pay the rent. This is not a Section 8 development that has vouchers allocated to this particular development. People would then have to come in and pay the rent.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Once they move in, will they have to reapply each year, do an application each year?
There is a recertification that does take place each year to make sure that the same people are actually living in the facility. And in fact, our leases actually have written in the lease that we have the right to, and we do inspect on a monthly basis to make sure that there's no extra people being, added to the premise.
I think my last question, do y'all have any units that might be up against a major thoroughfare in between two busy car lots by chance?
We have developments in downtown Atlanta. We have developments in Baltimore. We have lots of developments right up against different boroughs. In Atlanta, we have right next to the Marta line, and we build the right amounts of noise generation as required. This particular case we did was the train, the southern side of the development. And we wanted to make sure that the buildings are in line with the rules that
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions at this time?
I had one for Stephen.
Okay, Stephen?
Can you go back to the picture of the Holt Street, what will be the east side of Holt Street, I guess?
Oh, don't have that computer anymore. Huh. Why isn't that coming up? So I don't have any control anymore. Huh, I don't know what's going on. Let me go back to my presentation.
Mayor, while
he's pulling it up, I'd like to ask another question. Mr. Blackburn, you can answer from your seats, fine. I'm just curious if you guys considered other locations in Smithfield besides this specific site, if you wish to answer that.
We did look at another site, and this is the site that we prefer.
Okay, thank you.
Does this work?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
that's good. So the cul-de-sac, I see that is just past the second entrance of
That's
the
right.
facility. You referenced the warehouse space where the car dealer's prepping cars on the north side
Yep,
of that,
in there.
right in that area. Is that cul-de-sac, where does the driveway to that warehouse facility, is that before the bulb on the cul-de-sac?
It's about, it's probably about 2/3 into that lot. It's towards the back.
So it's beyond the cul-de-sac?
Yeah, so this cul-de-sac will then attach to the driveway they have existing, and then they'll drive into their lot.
Okay,
So I made sure this went, beyond their second entrance. That was the main requirement, just that it provided access to the Foster Commons development, and that we could get a cul-de-sac bulb for turnaround of emergency vehicles and such, and then, the existing driveway can remain on the remaining of the right-of-way, providing access to that site. We didn't ask them to build the whole road.
yeah, no, I understand, that's fair.
Yep.
The road width, and this is not going to be a highly traveled road, I'm sure, is 24 feet, and that's less than the normal, but we've been doing neighborhoods with less than the standard also.
Right.
How big is the cul-de-sac?
It's going to have to meet the town standards. I'm not sure, I think it's at a 45-foot diameter, I believe.
But have we been and I can't recall, in the last developments we've done, I know we've reduced the road width, obviously to maximize profitability for the builders. Have we reduced the width of the cul-de-sac?
No, actually, we've actually increased it in some cases because of fire code.
Right, and that's where I was going with that.
Yeah. When it's a long cul-de-sac, there's a requirement for the cul-de-sac bulb to be larger. This would be a standard, regular cul-de-sac. I don't think there's any requirement that it be built to a larger standard.
But, I mean, it's the standard, I mean, that's, as long as it's standard size, that's.
Yeah, it'll be a regular UDO standard.
Like I said, I know we've reduced certain things to make it attractive to people, but the cul-de-sac is a turning point, and I want to make sure it was the standard size.
Yeah, and the width for this one, like you said, it's not going to be carrying a whole lot of traffic, and it's also the exact same design as what's across Brightleaf Boulevard. Just carried that same width all the way across.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen, just a couple questions on traffic and parking. So 50 units, and I guess they're proposing 83 spaces. Does that meet our minimum standards for parking?
Yeah, it meets the parking requirements.
It does meet, okay. All right, and then the other, and just want to confirm this, right? So we say no direct access to Brightleaf Boulevard, but technically you're getting on the Holt Street and then going to Brightleaf Boulevard, right? So there will be no access onto Dundee Street, right? So all traffic will have to go onto 301. Is that
Yeah, from
correct?
Holt Street.
Yep. Yep, from Holt Street directly onto 301. Okay.
Correct.
All right, so no access through Dundee that you could go back that way. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Mayor, I have one for staff, and just because it's brought up tonight, in consideration of the property adjacent, has there been any evidence or discussion about the value and how that could impact, or you have any experience in the past where a project of this nature could have impacted business value?
Honestly, I can't say, but this is a $10 million investment into the neighborhood. And this is a neighborhood that's been desperate to attract investment, so I do believe the more investment in this area is only going to increase property values. it may not necessarily benefit specific commercial businesses. I can't say the 55 community is going to be shopping for cars next door, but they might. I do think it'll provide more eyes on the street, eyes on adjacent properties. So I know the neighbors had talked about, vandalism or theft. I do think this will improve it because there's more people living there and protecting their own territory. And potentially, if we do get sidewalks connected to this site in the future, that'll be more people out on the street as well, which would be good. And the gentleman that was up here earlier talked about flooding. I know I've had Bill Dreitzler kind of look at this, and he didn't think it would be an issue, and that, we'll be evaluating the engineered plans when they do come forward to try to address any issues that are present. But, the stormwater management gets rid of all the peak runoff, and, regulates stormwater. So.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.
No,
You mentioned the flooding issue, and it kind of slipped my mind. That came up at last month's planning board meeting, and you said Bill has been out there since then.
Not since. When this first came in, I think we had received some phone calls, and we talked to Bill about it. There's some issues with the drainage along CSX. There's a drainage ditch that runs along the adjacent property line. I mean, some of those ditches, maintenance of those ditches is often part of the problem. Some of it is CSX. I mean, there's some limitations to what we can do. But whatever we can do with this specific site, through stormwater management, it will be addressed. Any other development could come into this site and probably have more impervious than what this development is proposing. So this is probably a more sensitive type development with all the green space than you might get with, a development that has 75% or 80% of the site completely paved over impervious. So, we think it's probably about the best we're going to be able to do for stormwater purposes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
yeah, I
Comments?
do.
Yes, sir.
I was waiting, I thought it might be more appropriate after public hearing closed and then our comments, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask it now. I have a little issue with the overall project, not the housing project looks great and all that, but I've consistently been against moving commercial property into residential. Because we have limited commercial property, we continue to add more and more residential, converting commercial properties into residential properties. And I believe our UDO, we have zoning set up for purpose because our comprehensive growth plan should include the existing areas in which we've already defined, that we want business to grow in these areas. We have a business owner that says, I want businesses beside my property because I want it to grow. I want to grow my business. That's basically what he said. I'm not putting words in his mouth, but that's what he said. This is going to hurt my property. It becomes residential instead of business. I understand that. That's why I'm consistently, and you know me, look back on the record, I'm consistently not in favor of taking commercial property and converting it into residential property. I just think that we have a large opportunity that we can grow like this. But in here, we have limited landlock. And we need to be driving towards building businesses in the areas that we have businesses. And I don't understand how we can produce something that says that we find this inconsistent with this is consistent with the Town of Smithfield Comprehensive Growth Plan. When our growth plan shows business in this area, then it's not in our best interest. Our citizens say it's not in their best interest. So I'm just saying, I'm somewhat confused when I see these type of projects come to us. No offense to their project. I think it's a great project. Not here. It's business area. I just don't like it. So I'm just.
Yeah, I would be happy to address that. It is guided for business, and the interpretation the council, or at least the community, has had through the implementation of the comp plan is with the zoning code. The zoning code says, with a special use permit, multifamily residential can be constructed in a business district. So it's enshrined in our code, but it requires a special use permit. Rather than just having them apply for a special use permit, I've requested the applicant come through the conditional zoning process to give the council greater freedom to discuss and understand this project that they may not get through a special use permit process. Either way, he could have moved forward with a special use permit, and all we could do is conditionalize it. We couldn't reject it. With a rezoning such as this, the council can reject a legislative process like this just because. A special use permit process, you have to have, real reasons to deny it that are defendable in court. So this is really, the code allows for residential uses in commercial. And one thing our comprehensive plan is trying to do is, rather than have commercial all over the place everywhere like our zoning code has, is trying to encourage more intense development at the intersections or nodes. And as you get further away from those intersections or nodes, you might get more supportive land uses, such as residential. So, our comp plan identifies the Brogdon Road intersection as one of those really mixed use, more intensively, potentially, subject to more change and growth. And to me, I see this as more of kind of on the support side of that. So this is going to bolster those commercial uses at the intersection, like the applicant had said. The drugstores and the grocery stores, that's why it's here. It's here to service those community amenities, I guess, and businesses. So that's the explanation.
All right. Any other questions, comments at this time? Not, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Mayor, I have one question that probably is for council regards the easement for the plat that's here. It appears, and Shannon may have a copy for Mr. Spence, but it appears that the town has a easement for East Holt Street. My concern is the cul-de-sac will not fit in that easement. If the adjacent property owners don't agree to it, how could that be resolved?
I don't have the packet.
Oh,
It's, I guess, it's third page, I think, Shannon.
and the applicant could dedicate, the cul-de-sac could be on this applicant's property, and he could dedicate a little right-of-way to accommodate that cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it's page 5, it's slide 5. That's what you're looking at, yeah.
I know that's been a contentious point before with other projects. So it would just, could be shifted into their, okay, that makes sense. I'm just curious.
Certainly workable.
All right. That address your question, Councilman Scott?
I think so, yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, so the public hearing is now closed. What's the pleasure of the council? I entertain a motion this time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we decline this request to rezone.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to deny the conditional zoning request. Any further discussion on the matter? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so can I get a show of hands of the ones that were in favor of the motion, please?
Favor of
Favor
the
of the motion.
In favor.
In favor.
But the motion is to
The motion
deny.
was to deny it.
motion.
So,
Right, I'm in favor of the motion to deny.
Okay, I need, that's exactly what I'm asking, thank you. All right, so, all right,
5-2.
Yep. All right. The motion to deny passes. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Thank you, gentlemen,
I
for
think
your
it's a great
presentation.
project. I just think it's the wrong location.
I do too.
All right. And we'll move on now to citizens' comments. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter, please come forward at this time. Any citizens' comments?
You have one that's scheduled.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. And I believe we have a special guest in the audience this evening, I believe. Warden Howe, is that correct? If you will, please come forward and introduce yourself, sir. I guess you're the warden at the Johnson Correctional Institution. Is that correct? So welcome this evening. The podium is yours, sir.
Like you said, I'm Mr. Howell, Lamar Howell. I'm the acting warden at Johnson Correctional, Mr. Watson absent. Been there since August, and I'm a resident of Johnson County.
All right.
So,
Smithfield?
yes.
All right. That's all right. I'll let Mayor Medlin, I'll let, you can have one every now and then.
But a couple things I do since I've been at Johnson, and I have worked at other facilities throughout the state. Johnson is a minimum custody camp now. It used to be a minimum custody, but now it is a minimum custody. And a minimum custody camp offer a lot of incentives to the community. One of the incentives that we offer is the labor contract. And I think Micro is one that they are participating in it now. We're trying to get them up on board. The labor contract is, and what labor contract is we got inmates that works in the county to help them out with cutting grass, digging up water lines, painting, cleaning up buildings and stuff like that. And the city only pay them $1 a day. So it helps out. That's one of the big things that we like to try to offer Smithfield too, if y'all are interested. And also, since the pandemic is lifting, we also got a thing called the work release program for inmates that's about to get out of prison and trying to get a job. It's only minimum custody camps does it, and we screen inmates really good. So anytime inmate goes outside the facility, we definitely screen them. They can't have a violent crime, they can't be SRG, they won't be a sex offender. So, and the good thing about labor contract is I know a lot of companies right now are looking for help, big time, even prison. And we got inmates that can't go inside the restaurants and business to help them out and get minimum wage. And also, I think I get a tax break for allowing inmates to work. So we're looking at that in the future right now, once we get up and running, because the pandemic is lifting, so some of the stuff that we can offer the city. And anything else that y'all would like us to help y'all with, Johnson Correctional is definitely on board to help out anything y'all need.
Okay.
So any questions concerning about any of the programs that we offer?
If we're interested in any of the programs, labor contract or anything, contact you, or is there someone else we
Yes, you
need
can
to?
contact me, and you have any concern about what labor contract is, Town and Micro have been doing it for a while.
Okay.
But due to the pandemic, we had stopped, but it's gonna start back up again, they the process, you know, they work back together. Y'all can ask them some of the stuff that they use the inmates for. Like I said, the labor contract is $1 a day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yes, sir.
How long have y'all been doing that out of this facility?
This facility never had a work release program. I think they had it back in the days. They said it used to help out some stuff, but I just got that in August, and I was always curious why they didn't have it here, especially labor contract. I think labor contract been going on for a while with Town and Micro, so. But the labor contract, like I said, I don't work release program. I don't stand by, especially as a town like this hurting for jobs, not hurting. They usually take advantage of the work release program that we offer. But since we're on middle custody camp, we can't offer that to the town.
How will they get back and forth? I mean, I know years ago, my father, we owned a business in Raleigh, and we had a female inmate and who worked for us, and when she got out, she continued to work for us, to work release. But he had to go pick her up and take her back every day.
Yes, and that's some of the things that, right now, that's why I say with the work release program, we are trying to get our staffing up where that we can take the offenders to the job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they can't,
Yeah.
I mean, we understood that, but that was her, part of their agreement, that we had to pick her up and, of course, take her back by a certain time or whatnot. And, so that would be, you're trying to work something out for transportation?
Yes, sir. That's one of the things that we, right now, I guess we're working on right now in the work release program, which is transportation. Some facilities have where they pick the inmates up, and drop them back off at a certain time, and some facilities have where the facility drops the inmate off and brings them back.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' comments at this? All right. Not seeing anyone. We'll move on to consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was amended.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our first business item. Consideration and request for approval to award a bid in the amount of $31,349 to James Paul Edwards for repairs to the fire department's parking lot. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I have a void in my parking lot. As you know, on February the 10th, we removed the fuel cells from the back of the parking lot, and actually in my capital project, I was going to put that in, but with the fuel prices going up like they are and everything, I feel like now might be a really good time for us to consider going ahead and redoing the parking lot behind Fire Station 1. Asphalt is actually more expensive now than concrete is. And I got a few bids, and I was really shocked at when I updated my bids for my budget, and my next closest bid was like $39,000 and some change, and the next one up was $86,000, which kind of prompted me to move forward with this. We still have a little bit of money left in our capital, and basically we would probably go into our general fund, contingency fund, around $6,400. The contract, if awarded, would go to Mr. Edwards, who just happens to be right there too, so we save money because his equipment is already located right behind us at the police station. So that would really help out. So trying to save a little money and be a little prudent with the funds. Right now I have a crush and run in that area where the tank was removed, which was a blessing in itself because that was going to probably end up being an environmental hazard eventually. So that is gone. So I just need to get the parking lot resurfaced, reconcreted, and that's why I'm here tonight. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for the chief? Not? I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I was going to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I delayed. I had to gather my thoughts. The reconstruction of the expansion, let me get it right, of the police department is going to change the dynamics of the parking on that side. And this is just a comment of concern, Mike. I think that we need to take in consideration, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's the easement between the police department and the back of those businesses. That road is in bad shape, and I think that's the town's responsibility as well. It's got some large potholes in it.
I think he's talking
The
about the
alley
drive,
there?
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
between,
Street and the police department?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a considerable dip right there that was brought about by different repaving projects that weren't addressed, and it is a problem.
I don't think it impacts this project in any way.
Ways away from this project, but actually, Mr. Davis from the Public Works Department's already looked at that and had people out there to give us ideas on how to repair that. We're still evaluating the best way to move forward with that particular little alley intersection there.
Okay. Any other comments, questions at this time? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the request.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Move on to business item number 2, consideration and request for approval to designate Mark III as broker of record for employee primary and optional insurance benefits. Is that Tim?
Mayor, Council, thank you for having me tonight. We, as staff or with HR, we have, for several years now, we've looked at how we can, with minimal staff, how we can better serve the employees of the town. And one of those ways that I believe that we can do that is by having a broker for all of our insurance services. So you have your primary insurance, and then you have your elective insurances. And for years now, we've tried to, initially when I came, we had a lot of different insurance brokers and agencies coming in. We trimmed it down to those 2. And the wish is that we can have one broker to handle all of those services. There were 3, when we went out for proposal, there were 3 companies that came back with offerings. One could not provide all of the insurance. They could only provide the elective insurances. And the other 2 could provide everything and were quite similar in the services that they provide. However, one of those 2 could not commit to being here in person with open enrollment. And one of the things that our employees really like is having that in-person open enrollment. In addition to, of course, we want to offer the online service where everybody can go in and do it at home, 10 o'clock at night, whatever they want to do. They can research and elect their insurances, but some are still reluctant to do that. So in the past, when we've looked at it, we shied away from it. But as the digital age is progressing, I believe that it's time to do that now. The pricing really comes, for the primary insurance, that really comes off of your history. So each broker goes and shops it with Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and so forth. And it really comes off of your history, and once we get that, we've had good experience with who I'm recommending in Mark III, that they get the data, they give us projections throughout the year, they get it back from each of the insurance companies, and then I beat them up a little bit and try to get it down a little bit lower, and then they'll go back, and we've had good history. But they do have access to not only the individual companies, but they're looking at consortiums as well. But with limited staff, where we serve 185 employees and retirees, that's a lot to do for a staff of 1.5. So me, Shannon handles liability, and we have an admin assistant that we share, and she's gotten really good now with the onboarding and offboarding, but that's a lot of people to serve. So they would be an extension of staff, really. So I'm making the recommendation that we change our services, all of that to one broker. And Tracy McCarty here from Mark III is here if you would like for her to present to you. Let me try to pull it up.
Hello.
I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about Mark III as he pulls it up. Mark III has been in business since 1973.
Can you pull that down?
Yeah, please.
Is it on? It may not be. All right.
It is, I believe so.
That microphone must not be working, yeah.
All right. It's on. Is that better?
That's it.
That's
Oh,
better.
good. Okay. Can we make it bigger? Can we make it?
Put it in presentation mode.
Yeah,
Yep.
presentation mode.
Bottom right.
Bottom right, he said. Oh, it's over here, one of those.
One looks like up a little bit. There you go. Click. There you go.
There we go. Now, do I just hit this right here? Okay. All right. So Mark III has been in business since 1973. It's a family-owned business. I have worked at Mark III. I'm in my 13th year. Prior to coming to Mark III, I was with United Healthcare for 15 and a half years. I'm happy to be at Mark III. We have over 150 public sector clients across the Southeast. We're in North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, and Georgia, and South Carolina, and just moved into Florida. We've worked with the town for quite some time now, managing your medical. In North Carolina, we have over 60 counties, cities, and towns. We also have school systems here in North Carolina, and we manage their voluntary benefits. We provide medical consulting, voluntary benefits, enrollment services, as well as technology solutions, multimedia support in anything that you might need, as well as cost containment strategies. For the medical consulting that you get now, we're tracking your claims on a regular basis. We look at tiered networks, pharmacy benefits. Like Tim said, on a regular basis every year, we get alternate quotes if they're required. We do everything from dependent eligibility audits to provider discount comparisons, comparing the carriers. We do have something new that we've done this year, and really it's because of our book of business. We've been able to negotiate a pool for our clients that are interested, which is using our leverage to get lower administrative costs, competitive pharmacy discounts. It's one of the best pharmacy contracts on the market now, as well as creating stop-loss stability for those clients that go into this collaborative. We do offer wellness services. The county, the city has taken advantage of that with our wellness coordinator. We started out doing things that were a little harder. It might be, there were premium differentials. And if you didn't participate in biometrics, then you wouldn't get the discounted premium. What we've moved toward now that a lot of folks like and that have gone really well in improving the health and well-being is cash incentives and rewards. So it might be that you put in a waste incentive and folks have a year to improve, and with as much as as little as a 5% increase in their weight or waist, they might get $150. Those have gone over really well, and we probably have about 20 towns that do that now. We also have clients that have placed in the 2021 Healthiest Employers Awards, and they're scored based on certain criteria. And just to give you an idea, we've had High Point at first place in the triad. We've got Rowan County in Charlotte, Rocky Mount and Durham placed in the triangle, and then we had some that were in the top 100 across the U.S. For voluntary benefits, which we would love to provide for you, we're one of the top in the Southeast. We provide guarantee issue. What that means is you may have employees right now that did not take benefits when they were first offered to them, and because of medical conditions, they can't get those benefits now. With our offering, they would be able to get guaranteed issue benefits in the first year as well as the second year for those benefits. And these are the benefits that we offer. For the voluntary, the cancer, accident, hospital indemnity, critical illness and term life, whole life, all of those, you've got guarantee issue in those benefits. And we offer a wide variety. You don't necessarily have to offer all of these. Many of those benefits pay for themselves with the wellness benefits that folks get reimbursed for just for getting those wellness benefits. We also offer enrollment services, and we offer in-person enrollment services. We have enrollment educators that will come on site. We will do group meetings. Folks can then meet one-on-one with individuals. These individuals are non-commissioned folks, so there's no high-pressure sales at all. We also have a call center for those folks that really may not want to come in person. They can call. There's a chat feature. They can use the chat feature. They can actually be using the chat feature and say they want to call, and the enroller can connect to them directly. Or they can go online and enroll through self-service, and we can offer all of those in the same year. It just depends on what you want, but we're happy to do all of those, and we've been very successful. When COVID came out, it's really when our call center, we had done our call center for some large organizations, but had never rolled it out to our entire book of business. And we really amped up very quickly and have excellent staff that got it in place. And we've run over 200,000 calls through the call center, and the average wait time is 14 seconds. The same folks that man the call centers are the same folks that would come on site and do the meetings. So these are people, many of these people, they have worked for us for over 10 years. So they're very experienced, and all they do year-round is public sector enrollments. When we manage all of your benefits, we get to offer you a lot more. We do a benefits and enrollment guide for you, so it's a booklet that is just for the town and their employees. It outlines all the benefits. We also provide posters and flyers, anything basically that Tim would want to promote your benefits and your open enrollment. We do customized videos. We have a gentleman that runs the media program, so not only do we do product videos online that goes step by step explaining what each product is, we will also do videos. If you want a safety video done, we don't charge anything extra. If you wanted an HR video done, we do those for you, and we don't charge anything extra. If you go out on our website, you could put in Guilford County Schools. Pretend you work for Guilford County Schools. You can see a video we did for them that was really for new hires. So we do anything like that, and there's no additional cost, and they're really nice videos. The employee benefits site is on the Mark III site. You'll have a microsite. You can link it to your site, and at any time folks have questions, they can go out and look up the benefits. The booklet will actually list your dedicated account manager that you will have, and Tim will still have me and Mr. Mark Browder on the account doing what we have always done. But in addition to that, there will be an account manager that's a day-to-day service person to handle any challenges that he or an employee might have at any time. And then we also do targeted communication. We started doing this. We had a client who really wanted to try this out. It happened to be the Director of Benefits at Guilford County Schools. And we started with text messaging and Facebook advertisement for open enrollment. And we even did geofencing, and it went over really well. We've done it in multiple places now this most recent year. It helps to promote open enrollment. These are some of the sample messages. We've had folks that wanted to promote a wellness program and remind folks of what they needed to do. Anything that you're promoting that you want help with, we can do that if given the information. This just gives you an idea of the folks, the number of folks that actually clicked on it or, went out and visited the website for these clients during open enrollment. And what we found is a lot of times text messages really, a lot of folks, especially males, they use their phones for text messages. They may never look at Facebook marketing, but it's just something that's available if you want it. Like I said, we do customized videos, everything from wellness to promotional videos. If you go out to Rowan County, you can see a wellness video that we did for them on their waste incentive and their clinic that went over really well. We've also done videos for Cleveland County. You can go out there. But I would encourage you to take a look at them. A lot of them are fun. A lot of them are just promotional. But those are things that you get with us. For the employee benefits website, we have single sign-on if it's needed. The benefit summaries are out there. Any kind of claim forms. There's an online scheduler for folks that want to sign up one-on-one to talk to someone, whether through the call center or online. The videos are out there, and then there's wellness information and other informations related to ACA and compliance is needed. But it's a nice site, and we do all of that for you when we manage everything. We also have an app and can push notifications from that. And then the online system is through Celerix, so your folks would actually be able to go online. We would set up the website with all of your benefits. Everyone would be able to go online and view the benefits and enroll during open enrollment. We will actually send files out to all the carriers, so Tim and his staff don't have to try to go into each carrier's system and key all the changes. We manage all of that. We will also give the town a payroll file that they can use to get everything into payroll. If you give us your specs, we'll actually give it to you. And if your system's capable, you can actually just upload it into the system instead of staff having to key it into the system. And to close, these are all the items that you get with Mark III. We provide all of this support, everything from health to support on flexible spending, COBRA, your benefits website, videos, booklets, every possible thing. I mean, honestly, and if you ask us, can we do it, we'll go investigate it, and if we can do it, we'll do it, and we would love to have your business. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
I have one real quick question.
Yes,
I
sir.
serve on the Employee Benefits Committee here, and this may not be the proper time to ask you, but what would it take for us to, I know you do our medical now, to get the teledoc service or something similar for our employees?
Well, the teledoc services, I know through Cigna, you should have something baked in.
Okay. We just need to do some research to find out. Thank you.
Yeah. There are other third parties, but I'm pretty sure you've got it in your Cigna benefit.
We do. Actually, I utilized it myself. And
perhaps it's called something different.
I think theirs is WebMD that manages it, but we can get a flyer on that and get that to Tim because it can be promoted. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And a few other things, it's not on the slide, you can take that, it's fine. The compliance aspect is always changing with medical coverage, and to be able to have someone to look after that for us, and the execution of COBRA, of sending out documents when they're supposed to go, and as that changes, it's really tough for a small staff to manage that, and they're able to do that for us. So I think keeping us in compliance is a great benefit. Are there any other questions for me?
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the request.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, now we will move on to business item number 3, budget discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was placed at the end of the agenda so that the council could evaluate if it wants to set up its first budget workshop, recess the current meeting to a date and time certain. So I'm not sure this is something you want to address now, or you want to wait until the other business items are taken care of.
Okay. Is that just all, really all we're doing?
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we move on then to the other items, and we'll come back to this one? All right. So we had a couple items, excuse me, that were removed from the consent agenda. One being under consent agenda, it was item number 5, resolution number 695, Twin Creeks Public Dedication. And Councilman Barber, I think you requested
Yes, sir.
that to be removed. Do you have any specific questions or?
Yes, I did. My really concern was, when I read over this information, my concern was so are we accepting, really, because resolutions 695 and 696 were really the same concern. So, but the concern I had was, I see when we put in new roads, and next thing I see, a hole cut in the road because they're not finished with construction, or they're adding more whatever. And I'm concerned that these communities have not finished their construction, and we're taking on the road. So that's my concern. I know I talked to the manager about it earlier, and my understanding was that they had an agreement that if they did any damage, they could repair it, but I didn't see that in the resolution. So if you could help me with that, those are my concerns.
Sure. Well, first of all, the first resolution for Twin Creeks Phase 2, the code says with the preliminary plat, the council should approve or can approve the public dedications at that time. That's not for maintenance. That's just dedicating it with the plat to the town's ownership.
But it says we can. It didn't say we had to.
Yeah, but you'll have to do it before final plat.
Okay,
So
okay, yeah.
I didn't do it right away. I typically do it, about the time when I think they're going to apply for final plat, so that everything's in line, so they can apply for final plat and everything's in process. Twins Creeks is just about ready to apply for final plat. All the infrastructure's in place. No more construction vehicles going up and down the street. So that one's pretty good. They'll be building houses in the future, but the development, the plat subdivision infrastructure is all in place. So, and then number 6, this is taking over maintenance of previously dedicated right-of-way. And we're only taking on the maintenance of those streets which are not going to be used for construction. East River has 2 streets that run perpendicular to Buffalo Road. We are not taking over those because those are the access streets to future 3 through 5, phases 3 through 5. We're just taking over the ones that parallel Buffalo Road and then the little cul-de-sac. And that's at the request of the developer, because they've had this for quite some time. All the development on those 2 roads are done. It's time to turn them over to the town.
So the one, the original one that they're still doing construction on, is there or is there not an agreement that if they do destroy something during construction, that they repair it? That's
Yeah,
my
I mean,
question.
if there's
I didn't see that
damage-
I didn't see it in the resolution.
We're not taking those over.
Okay,
Those
no,
two
I thought-
streets, or it's one street, but two different parts of it.
No, that's not my understanding. That's what I'm saying. My understanding was that the agreement was that we would take the road over, but if they did any damage to the roads that we took over, they would take responsibility for it, even though it was our road. If they did it during the construction, they would repair it. That's my understanding. Isn't that what you told me, Mike, when I talked to you about earlier?
Yeah, there's also a one-year warranty on these streets, and anything, when we accept them, then if there's something that they have damaged, they have to come back and
Okay.
fix it prior to acceptance. Is that right, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be normal wear and tear, but if something specific, yes.
Right.
If they run a bulldozer over it and damage it with a track.
Or there's some other failure that requires them to dig up the pavement, yeah.
I know my co-councilman, Scott, is always adamant about the roads, because we have more roads than we can pave. And adding more roads, I'll make sure the roads that we add, we're not gonna have to turn around and have to do a lot of maintenance on, because we got other roads that people already are living on that also needs work done.
That's right.
So I just wanna make sure that we're doing due diligence. That's all we're concerned about. That's why I brought it out of consent. I wanna make sure of due diligence.
Any other questions, comments on these items?
No, we need to take action since it's been moved to approve. the
Yeah,
request.
we do. One question, Stephen, unrelated to the streets, but Twin Creeks, do you know, I mean, do they have their entrance signs built yet? Do you know?
They built the entrance sign for Phase 2.
They have, okay, all right. I just had not seen that.
They have not done the landscaping yet along the right-of-way.
Okay,
They
I'm
have a
sorry.
few more items to do prior to final plat.
Okay.
Or bond for it.
Mhm.
So we're working through those few issues.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so let's do these individually. So Resolution 695 for Twin Creeks, public dedication. What's the pleasure of the council? Have a motion there?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion to approve Resolution number 695 and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then Resolution number 696, East River. That's for accepting the streets in East River. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved, Mayor.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, now we'll move back to the budget discussion. Mike?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In front of the council, they should have a budget draft, as well as a couple items inside your notebook that will assist you as we engage in budget discussions from now until the June meeting when we'll have a public hearing on the budget. I want to remind the council and the people present that this is strictly a draft budget, is not a proposed budget by the manager. The draft budget is nothing more than a starting place for the council to engage in discussions with staff and the citizens to, in an effort to create the budget that it desires going forward for fiscal year '23. A proposed budget from the manager will be presented during the public hearing in June in these chambers. So there are two different things. There's a proposed budget that is required by statute, and there's a draft budget that is just a living, breathing, ongoing document. So this, in order for us to recess this meeting and not adjourn this meeting to a different date and time, we have to have an agenda item discussing the budget. So that's what this is. So if it pleases the council, we would ask that you decide on a date and time certain to meet for your first budget workshop, and then recess this meeting to that date and time here in these chambers.
Any thoughts on a date, gentlemen? I think,
Yeah, I like to do the Monday night, April the 25th. Mike's out of town, and myself and Councilman Scott are both out of town on the 26th.
The 26th meeting is different than this meeting.
Oh, it's a different meeting.
Yes, the intent of this meeting will be to begin budget discussions, not to discuss nonprofits.
But this is before the 25th proposal,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
So what is the meeting on the 26th? Do we,
I'd be to discuss nonprofits, have the nonprofits come in front of you.
okay. And we already have that scheduled, or what's
We have
the?
tentatively scheduled and let the nonprofits know that that's a tentative date.
Gotcha, okay,
If that date does not work for the council, then we can change it now.
gotcha, okay.
That was the one he said was the 26th.
That's the
And we're not able to be here, but I believe the 25th may work better for that meeting.
I mean, could we do it all in one night, on the 25th, start the budget discussion and have the nonprofits come in?
We certainly can, but you're not going to get very far that way with the budget. Nonprofits will take most of your night.
Mr. Manager, I believe you had some conflicts, like the 13th through the 18th or something?
The 13th through the 18th, I'm on vacation, I'll be out of town. And that includes Good Friday, which is a holiday for the town, and Easter.
Okay. Mayor, if the council feels we should meet before that, I would say possibly the 20th or the 25th.
25th, are we going, we potentially meet on the 25th with the nonprofits.
But I know we have, I don't know what other people's schedules are like.
Yeah. I can't do the 20th.
Okay, sorry.
All right. No. Let's see. You're out you said the 13th.
Yeah, that's a Wednesday. That's when I'm leaving town.
Gotcha.
12th. You gonna be here on 12th?
Should be.
Can we do you gonna be out next week?
I'll be here Monday and Tuesday.
I'm saying, can we meet on the 12th?
I cannot do the 12th.
Can we do 11th?
How does the 25th work, Mayor?
25th is fine with me. I can do the 25th.
Is that quick enough, Mr. Scott?
Yeah, we'll do whatever the council works. If, as we work through this process, y'all can decide how often you need to meet to make sure we get through it.
Why don't we do it on the 25th, 6:30? Does that work, or 6 or 6:30?
But are we gonna bring in the nonprofits on the 25th also?
So the nonprofit, so is it just you two that can't make it on the 26th?
Yeah, I will be away.
I mean, the nonprofits are going to come in and present, right? So we're not really making any decisions that night. I mean, if you feel strongly that you would like to be here, we certainly can change that date,
Is the
but-
potential for the conference call to be an option, or is that too complicated? Well, I mean, obviously, we'll see their their notes that they provide.
Actually, it's all in your book right in front of you now.
Okay.
You have all the
Okay.
nonprofit requests in there.
So what they're requesting and everything is in there already. So it's really just them coming in and speaking to the matter.
Number 9, page 9, about the nonprofit. Am I looking on the right page?
Page 9.
Down to that last page.
In the back.
Back of
David,
your binder.
Back of the binder, there's an insert there, nonprofit request.
I don't like starting back, I start front.
All right. So what do we think about the 25th?
I'm available
Does that
25th.
work on
I
the
mean,
25th? So let's go ahead and talk about that, at least get that down. So 25th, 6 or 6:30?
Whatever works for you.
Whatever.
Let's say 6:30, if that's okay. All right, so 25th at 6:30, so we'll recess this meeting until that time.
Okay.
And then on the 26th is the nonprofits.
What time is that scheduled?
6:30 right now.
You're talking about the 25th and the 26th?
Yes, sir.
Meetings both days? You can?
So you can't do 26 either. So there's three of us can't do the 26.
So do we need to make an alternate date?
I was saying, that's a, to me, when you got three of the councilmen not here at the same time, that's kind of a significant number.
Would it be acceptable, do we have, I'm just trying to, for council, could we ask them to come the following week perhaps, or is that too late? I don't understand the time.
The following week, I think, is the council meeting.
Oh, that's right.
On the 3rd.
Short month.
Can it come the following month, the Monday?
On the 2nd?
Are you available?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's certainly doable.
Yep. I can do a 2nd.
Is that okay with you? Can you do that?
And we can do it later the week that we had proposed, just to, I mean, I don't want to run out of time on the budget. Nobody likes to have too many meetings in one week, but we have to get it done.
Yep.
So is anything else available that week of the 25th? I know the 26th is not.
I'm not available on the 26th, 27th, 28th.
Okay.
But, I mean, we could do it, I mean, I got an honor society induction on the 27th. Yeah, I don't either, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, it's just.
It's all the nonprofits we have this year. It's considerably smaller than.
It's the same as last year.
Must be different.
Any issues? I know you got gentlemen who are going to be absent, but any big heartburn? I mean, if there is, maybe you can look at it and propose any questions.
I'll look at it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're just kind of getting a little, calendars are getting a little tight and short on time as well. So why don't we keep that on the 26th at 6:30? Okay. That's okay. with you guys.
25th,
And I mean,
6:30 and 26th,
I think I
6:30.
could certainly look into doing the
And the election's on the 17th.
call in or Facebook or whatever, right?
Yeah,
If they wanted to.
if that's what you want.
That's the only thing I see that's
Workshop,
changed.
workshop,
Well, look right
It
here.
would be easiest to zoom in, we can
Right,
put it
just
on
do a
the
Zoom
screens
meeting.
if they're able to do that.
Right. And then what we may do on the 26th, Councilman Scott, since you mentioned the call-in, is we'll look into maybe either doing a call-in or maybe doing a Zoom.
Okay.
Would that work? I mean, would you be
Yeah, I
available
think
to
so.
do that? You just out of place or something?
think
at
so.
that time?
And I might, I'm working during the daytime on some stuff at the Coliseum, but I think I can work it out to be available at the night.
So maybe we can look into doing that, and I will just ask staff to see if we can make that arrangement, 26th. Is that okay with you? And then I'll ask Mike to report back out if that's something that we can, and we should be able to do it.
We would
right?
still need to have a quorum of people here. We still have to have 5 in the building.
In the building?
Well, do we?
I think so.
If they're not voting on anything? They're not going to vote anything that night, I don't have to have a quorum. It's just a
Well,
workship.
that's true, if it's just gonna be discussion.
Yeah, it's
Then-
just
then
discussion.
It's not really a formal meeting. Then
Right.
You don't have enough people to call a meeting to order.
Yeah,
And then that way you can vote
Recess it
on
to
it.
yeah, yeah, well, workshop. Okay. Okay.
The 25th and then 26th.
25th, yeah, is what we'll recess to until.
Conference call or?
26 here, but we may also do a conference call as well, or a
Okay. So
a Zoom
25th
meeting.
25th, 6:30, 26th, 6:30.
That's correct. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I need to add something, I'd like for us to add something to our agenda for tonight.
What is that?
Make
Well,
it quick.
I'd like to make a motion, we do a closed session pursuant to 143-38.11.3 for dealing with potential litigation.
Second.
Okay. All right, did you get that, Madam Clerk? I have a motion and a second to go into closed session to discuss potential litigation. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. All right. We'll do that after, we'll just finish the other items on the agenda, and then we'll do that if that's okay with you. All right. Council members' comments? Any additional council members' comments? This time? Okay. Mr. Manager, your report, sir.
Thank you. Very quickly here, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to congratulate the police department and Chief Powell. They defended their accreditation in front of the CALEA Executive Board last week and were granted their second re-accreditation, third accreditation, for another 4 years. So a lot of work goes into that. It's continual. It professionalizes the police department, and it professionalizes our town. So a lot of great benefit, and congratulations to them for a job well done. Mr. Mayor, we have a National Night Out scheduled for August 2nd. That is the National Night Out night. That is the council meeting night. Last time we were able to hold this event at Johnson Community College, the council chose to change their meeting night so they could attend that. So I want y'all to consider thinking about that. We have plenty of time to change that meeting date if you so choose, but I'd like to at least consider that process so that you can be involved in that National Night Out ceremony. Last but not least, a quick update. One of the grants that we have received from the state is the upsizing or replacement of the drainage pipe under CSX Railway in the 1500 block South Brightleaf Boulevard. We have advertised now for request RFPs, and they are due on April 21st. We'll be opening those and hopefully making a determination shortly thereafter as to what engineering firm, based on their qualifications, we would like to use to move this project forward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. If there is no further business, I'll entertain a motion now to go into
I'll
closed
make
session.
a motion to go into closed session pursuant to that same thing.
That's okay. I think we've got it, right? We've got it added to the
Okay.
agenda. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we'll go into closed session at this time. We'll go to the conference room and go into closed session. Thank you.